Hey everyone, Shannon here. And in this example, I'm going to be showing you how I used You Need a Budget or YNAB, which is what us YNABers call it, to create a 6 month savings account. For this example, I'm going to be using a business, like a sample business, basically budget. And the numbers are going to be, let's say this business has $9,500 in credit card debt. They just had $5,000 come through for, say, next month. And now we need to budget out that money for this month. So we had the $5,000 come through, and now we need to spread all that money out for this current month. Or let's say you have $5,000 coming in for a certain month. So if you're not living one paycheck ahead, YNAB will help you do that too. But let's say for this example, you have $5,000 coming through in this month. How do you use You Need a Budget in order to create a 6 month savings account? I also just want to be really clear that I was terrible at saving. I could never save. I could never save for anything. I was one of those people who created a savings account. I would move money into it. Like I would do one of those automated things that, you can move $20 every single week into your savings account. And then eventually I would move the money into my checking account. And not even when it was a lot of money. I mean, when it was like maybe like $300, I would move it into my checking account so I could, I don't know, go out to eat or buy something or just not really use it in the right way. But using You Need a Budget, I was able to create a 6 month savings account. Now, I'll actually tell you that I created the 6 month savings account because my goal was to pay off my debt. So you might be thinking, like, if this business has, right, this business has $9,500 in credit card debt, Shannon, shouldn't they not be saving first? Shouldn't they be putting all of this money to their credit card? And I'm going to say no. No, 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 no. And I'm going to say no because as an entrepreneur, as someone who is an entrepreneur, our income fluctuates all the time. And also, the reason why most businesses and most people, you can use this just exactly as the same thing as if this was your personal budget. Most people have debt is because they don't have a savings account or they don't even have an extra $1,000 in their budget for that month to cover something that happens. So, a lot of the times people have debt because they didn't have a savings. So, for me, when I started to save money, it was because I wanted to get out of $20,000 of credit card debt. And I knew the only way to stop that from happening was to stop the debt from building. And the only way to stop the debt from building was to have a savings account. All right. So I am going to give that information out there for you as an entrepreneur, as someone who is a coach or a freelancer. My advice would be don't try to have a big month in your business because I've done this before too. Had a big month in my business, threw all of my money into my credit card, paid off my credit card, and guess what? Couple months later, got back into credit card debt when I was, having a bad month in my business or when I got pregnant and couldn't work anymore because I was so sick. And that's how I got back into credit card debt. So, we are going to be talking about how to use this money to actually spread it out and create a savings account. Okay. So let's say, for example, you have $5,000 coming in for this month. Now, for this example, also, I'm not going to be including taxes because all of us have different tax brackets. So I'm just going to be using this like we're just budgeting basically for our recurring monthly expenses. We're trying to put some money aside to savings and we're trying to do some other things like pay a virtual assistant or whatever. All right, so we have $5,000 coming in. We know we have that $9,500 in credit card debt, but we're not going to be worried about that right now. All right, all we're going to do is we're going to see basically using this software how our money can be used as a tool to do the things we want to do instead of just saying like this is where my money has to go or this is where I think it goes or whatever, just using this in the right way. So let's say, for example, right, we know we're going to have a little tip for you guys that are also in credit card debt. Put credit card interest in your budget. If you actually aren't allocating, like if you aren't using You Need a Budget and you're just going off the top of your head and you're thinking, I have to make my minimum credit card payment, maybe it's $150, but you're not counting for that interest, that's why your balance keeps going up and up and up and up. Okay. Huge, huge tip right here for anybody who never added that in. I was never putting that in my budget. And I was still like not understanding why my balance wasn't going down the way it should have been. And that was because I never allocated in my budget for credit card interest. And I was also building a lot of debt because I wasn't having a budget and I didn't have one and I didn't really know where my money was going. So let's say for this example, their credit card interest is at $100. So every single month they're paying $100. And let's say they're paying like 100, I'm going to go with the same example, $150 for their credit card payment. All right. So now they have $4,750 left. I'm just going to make up some numbers here. This is a lot of the software that I use in my online business. So I'm just kind of using these numbers from what I know, from how much I pay off the top of my head. So I'm going to fill these in. Now, these numbers are things that you are always paying every single month. So every single month in your business, you pay this like clockwork. Now, you could also pay and do the annual subscription for these things, right? But I'm just using these as examples. As in your budget, you have this little category of things that you know every single month you have to pay. So for you, if you have like a brick and mortar, it could be you have to pay rent, you have to pay utilities, right? Those are things that are always reoccurring. Same thing for your personal budget. You have to pay the mortgage or rent or utilities, right? These are things every single month they're going to come out of your pocket. Every single month, they're going to happen. And that's why YNAB is great because we have these little things of categories and we can see what is important and what needs to be paid and what is kind of like the leisurely stuff. What is kind of like fun money. In my personal budget, I have a lot of category. I basically have a category that's like just fun stuff. Like this is just fun stuff that I want to do. And I have another category that's like fitness because I have a couple different fitness subscriptions and things I pay for and classes I pay for monthly. So I know, these aren't things that are necessarily the things that like I need to pay in order to live. And that's why putting them into categories makes such a difference in my brain when I see it on the computer because I'm like, okay, here's the things I need to have money for, right? Like you need to pay money for Zoom. You need to pay money for your scheduling, for scheduling clients online. You need to pay money to get more support with getting better with your marketing, right? Um, and so here also, this is where I kind of changed up these are things that I need category, right? So in this, right? So as I was just breaking down the categories, I was saying things like, I can now see in my brain having things categorized tells me what's important and what's not really important, right? What are the things to me that like I feel like I need to do? And what are the things to me that are kind of like optional, really, right? Like there's like getting takeout food is really optional, and I had to learn that lesson when I was saving. Getting a manicure is really optional. I don't know if you guys have figured this out from the pandemic, but when I went into the pandemic and when we went into like quarantine and stuff, like I figured out a lot of things were optional in my life that I felt like were necessary, that I felt like were in this category. And I realized, no, I don't need those things. Like, I really thought, I needed the manicure every week for me to feel good about myself. Or I needed to have Starbucks coffee, 4 times a week for me to feel like I was being productive or like a reward. And I just figured out other ways to make myself feel good without putting my money to places where I didn't want it to go anymore, right? So this is what I did in this example is I moved savings and paying yourself up into recurring monthly expense, like something that is a non-negotiable. Like paying yourself is a non-freaking negotiable. Having savings, right, is a non-freaking negotiable if you want to get out of debt and if you don't want to build debt. Like it should be a non-negotiable for everyone who wants to have a healthy financial future. So for this example, what I want to show you guys is look, I've allocated all of the money that we need in order to run our online business, right? And for you, it could be allocating all of the money you need for you to survive next month. And right now I've only done, okay, just to remind you, I have only done the very basic things this business needs to run. So I have not, say, for example, put money aside to pay a virtual assistant, to pay a graphic designer, to pay a business coach, to pay Facebook ads. Maybe Facebook ads are in your, I need to have them run in order to make money in my business. That's fine too. But really, I've only put the money aside. Like we need to pay our credit card and we need these basic expenses. I did that on purpose. I did that to show you how much money is actually left when we cut out the bullshit. That's why I started with this category first, too, because I didn't want you to think like, here's you allocating all of your money. You're allocating your money for your gym membership. You're allocating your money for getting manicures. You're allocating money for Starbucks. You're allocating money for this and for that. Like, start off with the very basic things that your business or you needs to survive. All right. And then before you put that money into the fun stuff and fun stuff, yeah, I'm saying like a gym membership is fun stuff. Like a gym membership is optional. Like manicures are obviously optional. like getting your hair done at a really nice salon, that is also optional. Um, going out to like TJ Maxx and Home Goods couple times a month, that is also optional. Those Target runs where you pick up things like that extra candle you didn't need and that extra pillow you didn't need, right? Like that stuff like that. Yo, that's optional. You don't actually need that to survive, okay? So this is really important when you're using you need a budget, at least for the way I use it. I do it and see like, here's the basic stuff. Now look at that beautiful number that I have left. Wow, I have a lot of money, I got a lot of money left. You probably have a lot more money than you think. And it's just because it's going to all of these places where either you don't actually consciously know that it's going to those places and you just think you have no money, or it could be maybe you're not making enough money. That's a real thing that could be happening. Or maybe it's like you're spending way too much on the basic stuff. Maybe you are living in a too expensive apartment. Maybe you are driving a car that's way out of your range, like, but really look at how beautiful this number is. Like, there's so much more money here left to be allocated. And there's so much more money here left to be saved. And there's so much more money here left to pay off debt, right? All right, so we have $4,629 left. Now, I also, just a reminder, I did not allocate for taxes, all right? So in a perfect world, I would allocate whatever my tax bracket is for taxes. But for this example, to keep things simple, and so you'll keep watching this video and you'll actually sign up for You Need a Budget because I have an affiliate link below and you really, really should. I mean, they don't even pay me. They just give me a free month of YNAB and I will still keep promoting this program. Um, Anyways, back to what I was saying. Now, look at how much money you have $4,629 left. All right. Now we've only covered the basics. So let's go back to say maybe, you know what, Shannon, to me, really like, I really need my virtual assistant this month. Okay. I'm going to pay her $1,000 this month because I really need her. I have a launch coming up. I have something else coming up. I'm also going to need to pay a graphic designer this month. I have a launcher. I have, some new product coming out that I need images for, whatever. Right. All right. So we do that stuff and we're like, okay, cool. I still have $3,129 left. Huh. Wow. Now, what this person would probably love to do is dump all of their money to their credit card, right? That would probably be like the immediate thought is like, I hate carrying around this credit card, I hate carrying around this balance. It's affecting my credit score, all this other stuff. But you are an entrepreneur, your income does fluctuate, even if you are not an entrepreneur. I should really made this note earlier, but even if you are not an entrepreneur, okay, or let's say right now you're living off like your husband really, supports your personal budget for your home, right? And he has a stable income. Even if not, if he was to lose his job or if there was a car to break down, if there was a medical bill to come up, something like that, and you guys don't have $1,000 in savings for things like that, that's something that would put you back in credit card debt and that credit card debt would continue to build. All right. So this is why it's so important, whether you are not. For me, I would say when you are an entrepreneur, I saved 6 months because my income fluctuated that much. When I got pregnant, my business tanked for like 3 to 5 months, like completely tanked. So for me, 6 months was like, okay, like I need this 6 months in order for my business to survive. Like I need this 6 months in order for me to survive. I need 6 months in order for my business to survive. Again, this savings account could be for your business or for yourself. You can do it for either one, but I would say, of course, to start with yourself at first. And if you do have a stable income from a job, like I said, or you have, a spouse right now that has a stable income, I would say 3 months is totally fine. You really probably don't need those 6 months. Um, I think 3 months is completely fine and then get right to paying off debt. So here we are. We have $3,129 left. And this person is like, okay, I'm ready to put some money aside for savings. So let's see what happens when we add all of these up. I'm going to take out the credit card interest. Am I going to take it or am I going to leave it in? I'm going to leave it in because we know this person. No, no, no. I want to just do the amount of money that they need to pay for things they need to live. All right. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to see how much money do I actually need for bare minimum my business to survive if something was to happen. $121. Okay. Now, Shannon, I really can't live without my virtual assistant or my graphic designer. Okay. So every single month, bare minimum, I need $1,621 for my business to fluctuate and survive. And again, you could completely do this like with your personal budget. Same thing. It's like, how much is my mortgage? How much are my utilities? How much is it for this expense? And this is how much are groceries? How much, right? All that stuff that we need. And you can totally do that with your personal budget too. So bare minimum, this business would need $121. That's like if things like hit the fan, got really bad, and you really needed to save your money. Okay, $121. Realistically, the real budget you would like to use and have your business operate and grow with is $1,621 every single month. All right, so then what I would do over here is I would pull up my handy dandy calculator and I would do 1621 times 6. All right, it's $9,726. No problem. You can do that. All right. So I'm just going to round it up to nice 10,000 because I like to work with just easy numbers. So it would be $10,000, right? That you would need for 6 months of your savings. And again, guys, just because I'm using this business example, this is the same thing. It goes for your personal budget. Okay. All right. So $10,000 in savings for that 6 months to really give you a nice cushion. Okay. Not so bad. Now, only thing here is that we have $3,129. We know we need to create a $10,000 6 month savings. If you are like employed, 3 month savings is totally fine. But we have not paid ourselves yet for this month either, right? So let's say, for example, we need to pay ourselves $2,000 this month in order for us to pay our own personal bills. But look at how amazing this still is, right? Look at this number left. We are going to move this $1,129 to our savings. And now we are that much closer to having a beautiful 6 month savings account. But you know what's even beautiful about this number right now? The fact that you have $1,129 in this savings account right now means that if there was an emergency to occur, and now again, I'm using a business example. So let's say that there was an emergency to occur in your business or an emergency to occur in your personal life right now. Again, some car thing comes up, you need your car fixed, you need to pay for a medical bill, some unexpected house bill came, right? You have that money in your savings account and it is not going on your credit card. So you are not going to build credit card debt. No, no, no. But also, guys, here's the most beautiful thing about you need a budget. And this is why I was able to create a 6 month savings account when I could never save for shit in my life. Like I could never, ever save. I was terrible at saving. I could never save. And I always carried credit card debt. I still currently have about $6,000 in credit card debt left, but that is going to be paid off by the end of June 2021. I am going to be debt mother freaking free, debt, student loan free, car loan free, credit card debt free. Oh my God. It's so beautiful because, and I have a 6 month savings account. Like, I don't know who this woman is, but I am loving it. Okay. Because I was never this girl. Like, I was never this girl. Okay. Back to the example. What I want to show you is this is what I would do, right? I'd be here and I'd be sitting here looking at my budget and I would say, but if I could cut back on my virtual assistant's hours, just for a little bit, just temporarily. Everything to me is temporary. Like when I was creating my 6-month savings account, I wasn't saying, okay, I'm going to live this way forever because I cut back on a lot of stuff. One, because it was a pandemic, two, like where I was going to go. I had nowhere to go, right? But I knew that wasn't a realistic budget that I could live with forever. It was just great because it was temporary. I knew eventually I would start adding in Starbucks trips, like once we're real crazy about the pandemic. So once the drive through opened, I would go through the drive through. I still haven't got a manicure, but I did get a haircut, right? Like I got those things done eventually and I added them into my budget. So look at this like it's temporary. Building that 6-month savings account is temporary. Then you can go back to kind of like an easier budget, or you can just take it real slow. You can just take it very slow. You can give yourself time and say, yeah, it's going to take me like a year to build this savings. It's going to take me 2 years to build this savings account. And I'm going to say, okay, that's fine. Like, that's fine. Right. Um, but during that time, like you're going to be able to not build any more debt, which is going to be the most beautiful part of the whole freaking thing, is not building any more debt, right? And at any point, if you feel like I would feel comfortable with the 3-month savings account, I feel like I really want to pay off this credit card debt, listen to yourself, do it, right? But what I would say is don't go below 3 months. It's a little scary then. And we just don't want you to get back into credit card debt. So again, this is temporary. The things we're doing are going to be temporary. So let's say with the virtual assistant, you're like, you know what? Like, I think I want to cut back on her hours because I really want to build this savings account. So I'm going to move $500 of it to my savings account and then see how much I'll be able to save then. So if I only pay her for 500 right that month, then I'll be closer to having $2,000 in my savings account. That's really, really cool. Or maybe, this month I'll try to cut back on my personal budget because I have my own personal budget in You Need a Budget, which looks exactly like this. Um, and I'm going to cut 300 from my personal budget. I'm going to find the money from somewhere and I'm going to cut $300 from my personal budget and I'm going to move that to savings. Then what? No, is that? Yeah. Then what will happen? Okay, I almost have $2,000 in savings, and I did not have any money in savings when Shannon started this exercise. So, how amazing is this? This is all it is, guys. It's like looking at your money and making sure it's going where you want it to go. The most beautiful thing about You Need a Budget for me is it thinks about my future. I started using You Need a Budget in 2018. And when I was doing it then, it was really for me just to see like, how much money does my business need to survive? How much money do I need to survive? Like I didn't even know that number. I thought I thought for some reason I need to make $10,000 in my business every single month because that's what everyone else was talking about. So like I would just shoot for $10,000. I don't know why. I would fall way below that number and then somehow still build credit card debt. And I was like, maybe I should just know what the number is my business needs to survive. So I signed up for You Need a Budget. I started using it in my business, started using it in my personal life. And then my husband started getting really into it. And then he started showing me like all these other amazing things I could really do with You Need a Budget. And I started using it to pay off credit card debt. Eventually, I got back into credit card debt because I didn't have a savings. I learned my lesson from then. And then I felt like in 2020, I really started to master You Need a Budget because I was like, okay, I somehow I am back in credit card debt. I don't know how. I am in way more credit card debt than I've ever been. I went into way more credit card debt than I've ever been in my entire life. Like I never thought I would ever let myself get into $20,000 of credit card debt. And that happened. It was a mix of business and personal and being pregnant and having my business tank because I was pregnant. And I was like, wow, I really need a savings account. And so from this, I was able to see if I move money around here, if I move money around here, if I, change this subscription, if I use ConvertKit to do all the other things for me that it's now offering instead of maybe using lead pages and another payment processor or whatever, I started just looking at all these things and saying, where could my money go in the future? And this is what I was able to then create and to do. So if you've never been a person who've saved before in your life, I promise you can do this. I promise you can do this. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit longer than probably what I would usually do, but I really, really just hope this like sank in, and I hope you see how easy it is to create a savings account when you know where your money is going, when you use something like you need a budget, when you make conscious decisions about where you actually want your money to go, when you set a financial goal, just set one financial goal. Probably a lot of people have a lot of different goals right now, whether it's save for a house, pay off student loan debt, buy a new car, right? Just start out with those things after before you go and buy the new car, before you go and purchase this. Like, sit down and look at your money and say, is my money really going in the best places for future me? Does future me want to be in debt? Does future me want to be in even more debt? Does future me want to not having this like a savings account when she's 35? No, she does not. All right. Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.